This is the legendary Humble and Fred Show, Canada's national morning show.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
So the following episode of Humble and Fred was brought to you by FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gig Sky, The Chambers Plan, Strain Print, Freedom Construction, Ringside MD, Clear Air Solutions, CD and Tech. If you'd like to talk to Humble and Fred, call 1-833-437-8465. That's 1-833-8-JEFF-STINK. And now from the worldwide headquarters of the Humble and Fred Show, here are Humble and Fred.
Oh, I'm not on yet.
I wonder if before the end of the year we can have one clean start. Huh?
It's not working?
It's not working?
Why? Okay.
We've got, I think we've got about, what? How many actual working days between now and the new year? Not many to nail down a clean start.
That's a great question, actually.
Oh, great question.
We have 1, 2, 3, 7. We have 11 shows between now and 2020. And one of those shows we're going to start off cleanly. I just thought I thought those mics had been fixed. Anyway. And then it was a bit of a rodeo there. It was a bit of a goat rodeo.
Yeah, and then you weren't on.
Well, because
No, I know you hadn't hit
I
the
know.
button.
But then what happened was it got confusing when Phil changed his microphone, and then I forgot to turn our microphones on. This is what's happened. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. That's what's going on in this man's, woman's, person's gender, this person's world in 2019.
We really need to bring a podcast consultant into this fray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what this.
Why start now?
What's that? What?
Why start now?
That doesn't work.
Oh, great.
All right.
Maybe someone.
Why start now? I'll tell you why start now. You're never too you're never too old, advanced, never too set in your ways to not get some outside perspective.
I totally agree, and there's a whack of podcast consultants out there right now. I mean, we could probably do it by tender. Probably have them lined up at the door for like $15 an hour or something.
I would love that. I would just love to interview some podcast consultants, actually on this podcast.
Oh, yes.
In fact, we should start a new podcast called Podcast Consultant. Okay, yours isn't working now, too?
Because you muted me again. There we
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Giving you the signal for a minute.
Here, try that microphone again. Now that I...
Hello, hello.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
There we go.
It works.
Okay.
It does?
Yeah.
Magic touch.
Well, no, just because I had realized there was a confusion. I thought that was a different number. I have a friend of mine that I started off. He was a very established stand-up comic named Jim McAleese. Really, really funny guy. And then, he lives here in Toronto, and we sort of kept in touch off and on. And he teaches stand-up. Like, there's a course at Humber, and there's a course at Second City. And he's a very accomplished, guy. You've probably met him along the way here, somewhere along the way in your time. In fact, he and I were talking about you last night because he was trying to remember if he had worked on a show with you. What was the sports show you did?
Sports Zone. What's his name?
Jim McAleese.
I think so.
He knows who you are because you're, the famous Fred Patterson guy.
Right.
The reason I bring it up is we're just talking about, being consulted. And I sent Jim a tape of my act, and I said, would you have a look? And I said, I'm not looking for help so much with material, though. Just wanted to see what you think of the way I'm moving, and if you could have a look. And it was great having another set of eyes. Just like having someone look at your golf swing. He just saw certain things I was doing. I wasn't letting the laugh, just little technical stuff. And he came out to watch me last night. That's why I did a set last night on a Monday. But it's interesting to get somebody else's perspective, especially somebody you respect. Now, when it comes to podcast consulting, the only one that I would let in the door is you. I'd say, okay, you've done a podcast or two.
The interesting thing about podcast consulting, and we can talk about this because people know what podcasts are now, and more people are listening to podcasts. In fact, I want to mention one that starts today. I want to hear it. It sounds compelling. is that a lot of the so-called podcast consultants today come from radio, which is far removed from what podcasts are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They come from say what you have to say in 30 seconds and get back to music to consulting now, sort of long-form conversations and interviews. It's just interesting. So some of these podcast consultants, and I could name a few, but I won't. I would just like to, as you say, sit them down and go, oh, okay, so what is your perspective? Like, how have you made the leap from that to this?
And before you tell me about the podcast, that, you know, even our show isn't. I mean, there's different categories of podcasts. I mean, the podcasts that are sort of becoming super or have become super popular are serializations or they're murder mysteries and those kind of things. Amazing,
Right.
But there's so many categories of podcasts. Again, talking with Jim last night, because I said to him, our show is kind of like a radio show with a little extra stuff at the end, which is another category of podcasts. But the guys that have tried to consult us are all just radio guys that are basically, they're like, well, we have no radio work. Why don't we go see what this this other thing is all about?
And I don't imagine a lot of the big radio companies now are hiring radio consultants per se, because it's an expense they could do without. I mean, it's always been an expense they could probably do without. I often wondered why, and I guess it happened on some level, but if I run a broadcasting company and I have a bright person in Calgary and a bright person in Vancouver and one in Toronto, why wouldn't they share ideas rather than bring in a consultant at extra cost?
We've said that.
Yeah.
We said that over the years.
Time and time. Hey, we beat that drum.
Anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. Our phone number is 1-833-437-8465. Dan Duran will be checking in. You're welcome, too, as well. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitch. And what podcast do you want to tell us about?
Well, it starts today at all the regular places. Do you know who Ronan Farrow is? He's the son of Mia Farrow.
Yeah, yes.
Big investigative reporter.
Yep. I saw him interviewed a little while back.
Probably on Real Time with Bill Maher. That's where I saw him recently. Anyway, he starts a podcast today called Catch and Kill, the podcast. And, he sort of blew the lid off the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
And this podcast is about rich, powerful men who, as you've often said, live, in a different world than we do, as far as what they do, how they get away with it, how their little community looks after each other. Anyway, this podcast starts today, and and I heard the sort of promo or trailer for it per se, and it sounds very, very interesting. I'm going to be listening.
But see, that category of podcast is exactly what I was referring to. It's a, something you would go and choose to hear, the way you would go and say, like in the olden days, back in the olden days, Phil, where, someone on 2020 or 60 Minutes might have an interview that you want to go hear them talk about that subject. And now we have this thing, these podcasts that you can do that. And if you look on iTunes, the categories, there's about a dozen podcast categories.
Right.
We do a podcast, but really, not really. I mean, technically we did, and when we were not on the radio, that was the most technical in terms of a standalone.
Right, but this is now a category of podcast.
Yeah.
Would fall under, all kidding aside, like an entertainment, as opposed to info or investigative or crime or anything.
Yeah.
Although this could be called a crime. Yeah. This is a crime.
Well,
what we get away with.
The fact is we're in the comedy podcast category. And again, say what you will about this program, but it is comedy based.
Hey,
by the way, we have a fart song coming up, so that category will be what?
It's not a fart song.
Oh, it's not. No,
it's
sorry.
a poop song.
No, but we do have a fart story.
We
have a poop song and a fart story.
Right, of course we do.
We're going to be touching all the bases.
That's a category, too.
That is a category.
We're under waste management.
This Ronan Farrow guy, so yes. I see him on Real Time with... I had heard about him before. I see him finally on Real Time with Bill Maher. And Mia Farrow is his mother. So I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking... And then there was a reference to his father. Yes. Without saying the name. And I'm thinking, that's got to be Frank Sinatra's son. Just his face... his bone structure, I thought he looks a bit like a young Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's Woody Allen's son.
Yeah.
But look at the guy. Tell me he doesn't look a bit like Sinatra, young Sinatra. Just an observation.
Well,
I'm not making any accusations.
I know
or
you're
anything.
not.
I'm not,
No.
saying
Allegedly.
Yeah.
That
But he looks nothing like Woody Allen.
No.
But he's a good-looking guy. And I'm thinking, boy, he looks like Frankie when he used to first croon into the big microphone.
Well, Frank Sinatra and Mia Farrow were together for a long time.
Oh no, I know they
Yeah,
were. That's what I'm getting at.
I know you were.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they probably had some intercourse, and
So how would
things
Woody,
got carried away.
How would Woody get credit?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I think there should be. I think one of his
That's
podcast episodes should be a DNA test.
That's right. Who's my father?
Who's your daddy?
Ronan Farrow. Yeah, I saw him. Wasn't on Real Time. He was promoting a story. I guess it was the Epstein thing. And
Yeah.
he was being interviewed. I think it was Good Morning America, but I don't even know those shows anymore, Fred.
But I'm thinking the guy's got balls. I mean,
Oh,
do you really
yeah.
want to go there? I mean, the Clinton squad could be, fall in the car behind you. Right?
Suicided. He could be suicided.
Oh, it's terrible what happened to Ronan Farrow. It's inexplicable. He just drove off a cliff.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
And while hanging himself.
Yeah.
So what's it called?
Catch and kill.
Catch and kill.
That whole National Enquirer method of, catching. Apparently there's tons of Trump stories, right? They buy the story and then bury it to protect the perpetrator.
I'm lost in the Trump thing right now. I know we got to get to Dan Duran soon, but I been listening the last couple of days, and I'm just lost in it now. I don't know. Part of it is it really is difficult to know what to believe. Do I believe that Donald Trump's a nincompoop? Yes. But in terms of how much of it is the Democrats' agenda, which they have an agenda, and to think they don't is no, I was going to say infantile, and I wasn't pointing at you. I'm just saying it's naive, and I'm obviously liberal-ish, but you just know they have an agenda too. And that they're going to do anything they can, probably with good reason, to get rid of the guy. But it's their agenda against, and it's just because we're more apt to believe in that we think everything about him is horrible. And I still do. I'm just saying it's confusing.
Yeah, I mean, some of that testimony last week was pretty compelling. I mean, I heard it described this way. Why don't you just let the people impeach him next November? I mean, if he's really that bad, leave it up to America to decide. But the position of the Democrats now is this man committed a crime. If we let this go unchecked, it's just not good for the country. It's not right. That's
sure.
their excuse.
That's their excuse.
How valid that is. And one thing I will say about that, following this impeachment thing and being so tenacious, it might hurt them ultimately.
Yeah.
And when that's presented to them, hey, this could hurt you in the long run. They say, well, we're going to have to absorb that because this cannot go unchecked.
Yeah.
We must call this guy on.
Well, then that's great. But remember, they're also in the business of getting reelected.
Of course. Yeah.
And they're only going to, and they might, yes, he committed a crime. Yes, he's an idiot. He's probably a very bad guy. But the Democrats are trying to win back the White House.
Listen,
And they do have a duty. They have a duty.
dude, you said dude.
Duty. Today on the show, duty
Anyway.
and farts.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a responsibility to pursue it.
Right.
But at some point, what you just said is going to mitigate their responsibility, which is we could blow the election if this goes. Because if they don't get the conviction, then the GOP, that's the Republicans, are
The
going
GOPs, yeah.
The GOPs,
New band.
they're going to. Let me tell you later about a Seinfeld bit. Are they the elephants or the donkeys?
Elephants.
Elephants, yeah.
Seriously, worst mascots.
I know.
This is that Seinfeld bit says why donkeys? Why
Although
elephants?
Trump looks like an elephant
Right.
now.
So you know what I'm saying. Ultimately, their responsibility will be pushed aside for their reason to be, which is to get elected.
Right. But I'll tell you, ultimately, we know enough now. Forget about all the politics. Well, it's politics, what I'm about to say. It's the job of the American people to look at everything that's been presented to them and then respond accordingly. Next November is sort of an indictment on the American people. If you re-elect this guy based on what you know, well then, good luck to you.
Oh, for sure.
Good luck to you.
But you know they're going to reelect him.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And what kind of a statement is that on the general population?
Did you see? Well, I know Dan Duran time, but we got to talk about Rick Perry.
Right.
Did you see
it's
that guy?
unbelievable. Yeah.
That's who they are. Like a very great amount of them, and I love.
Right.
Listen, I know I sound like I'm an anti-American. I'm not. I love America. It's been great to me and my family, but that's who they are. They believe God chose, and he believed God chose Obama, but he believed God is literally choosing the American president, and as long as a percentage of them think that way, Trump will get reelected. Dan Duran,
Hello.
enough of this political nonsense. It's time for Dan Duran.
Okay.
Hi, Dan.
Hey, good to hear from you.
Good to be hearing from with you.
Yes. I just wanted to mention that you were talking about all this and wondering what the Democratic agenda is. I've been having the same kind of thinking because I'm trying to listen to, because I'm more on the Democratic side, been trying to listen to what the Republicans' objections are, try to understand their intellectual process. And you can get wrapped up into that and just go down rabbit holes that are just not there, but you think they are. It's the facts have been so distorted, and there's such a defense put up for Trump by the Republicans that they've lost themselves somehow.
Well,
and
actually,
facts, right?
Actually, it's pretty brilliant because quid pro quo, or whatever.
Quo.
Crow hits the fan.
They immediately take that term and apply it to Biden.
Yeah.
Like it's brilliant what they're doing. And there's been a few other catchphrases along the way. With Trump, they immediately take it and apply it to something Democratic, so it just gets lost in the mud.
And that's why,
Yeah.
Dan, I don't know if you heard how I started this essay by saying it's confusing. When you're listening to the testimony, you're like, yeah, this is terrible. But then you hear, again, that the Democrats have an agenda, Pelosi and all those other people, and what part of this is part of their agenda? Because it's easy to cheer for them because most people, in our group would be anti-Trump. But let's put this aside now, because the reason everyone has tuned in at 7:15, now it's 7:17, is of course the Dan Duran weather song.
Not Dan Duran.
Oh no, they like the Dan Duran weather song, and they like Dan Duran, obviously. Are you ready, people? Phil, are you gonna be able to put your different? Is that work?
Turn 5 on.
No, it's on. I can hear you.
Oh, I can't hear me.
I can't.
No,
I can hear
can't
you.
Either.
No, it's not on, Howard.
No.
Just talk.
Hello. You can barely hear me.
I
Okay.
can't.
Here, talk.
Check. Hello. No.
You're bringing up my level.
No.
You're hearing him through.
Yeah, I
Phil.
think you're hearing me through it. Oh,
No,
no,
there it
there we
is,
go.
guys.
Ah.
Okay,
That's
this.
great. Seamless.
I just got to hold the mic. Yeah, there we
No,
go.
yeah, there you go.
It's a headset, but put your hand on it.
Just, it's fine.
Yeah.
Dan.
Is there a period of time before the show that this kind of thing can be done at?
Well, we're gonna try and have
Dad.
we're gonna try and have a clean opening before the new year. Just one.
Tomorrow, I'm really high hopes for tomorrow's show. Dan Duran weather song, take 1. Here we go. Dan Duran weather, Dan Duran. 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 Come on, you guys. That was great.
We're good.
That was really good.
Awesome work. Thank you.
Now, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day today, Dan.
Fantastic day today. There's the people in the Americas. Speaking of them, their Thanksgiving's coming up this weekend, and there's lots of talk about there's kind of 3 systems that are tracking across the continent that will be affecting things by the weekend. Today, beautiful day, lots of sunshine today, around 12 degrees for the high in some areas. Can you believe it?
Wow.
So there's that. And then we get into tomorrow. The temperature is going to drop a little bit. Tomorrow is going to be a big rainy day, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain in the region, sort of clearing in the Hamilton area in the morning. And it'll track through Toronto and then kind of points further east as well. And then it dropping cloudy, rainy day for the entire day. And then a bit of a break. And then the weekend, we're looking for the first day of December coming in with snow. And we could get 5 to 10 centimeters of snow on Sunday, and it wouldn't count out maybe another little bit of rain here and there on Saturday as well. So there you go.
When's the first day of December?
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
okay.
Little snow, but Saturday it's just cloudy. I'm only asking because I'm flying out of here on Saturday, and I don't want any kind of nonsense. Sunday it can snow. I don't care.
Are you first thing on Saturday or what?
What's that, Dan?
First thing on Saturday?
No, Saturday afternoon,
Oh, okay.
like in the 4 o'clocks or something.
I got a 6:15 on Friday.
Friday morning.
Yeah, so when do I have to be at the airport?
Now you have to go now.
No, if it's 6, because that's sort of the beginning of the day. You don't have to be there 2 hours before, do you, for that? To
Are you
Tampa?
going to stay?
No, I would say 90 minutes.
Okay.
No, 2 hours excessive.
Yeah, I know.
They're open.
What
Well,
do
I
you
know
say?
you like to go 11 p.m.
Yeah, and they're open 2 hours before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but that's
Dan, what time would you, if you had a 6:15 flight, Dan Duran, what time would you get there?
I would probably get there for about 6. No.
that's Dan Durant.
Dan Duran time. Dan Duran goes.
Plus,
No,
they wheel you right out on the tarmac in a limo.
Well, what's embarrassing flying with Dan is, you have to take your golf clubs to the oversize. That's what Dan has. Dan Duran has to take his weather vane.
Yeah.
Economist plus.
That's right.
Economy
Sorry,
plus.
sorry, Dan Duran, you're overweight.
Yeah. Sir, we're going to need to weigh that.
Yeah.
Sir, could we put that in
I
a
give it
golf
90
in a
minutes
golf
at that
bag?
time, but it's still, the airports get nuts these days.
Yeah,
the way
speaking of nuts, sir.
Sir, could you put that thing in a golf bag, please?
Extra leg room.
Sir, exactly. If you want it, we'll check your balls for free, Dad. Hey, Dan, what were you saying?
Yes.
What were you saying while we were making horrible jokes?
I was just saying, like, it used to be a lot easier, but with all the security checks and everything
Yes.
else and lines, getting through all that stuff, it can be arduous. So
Well, if
90
you had
minutes.
Nexus, if you
They
were a
went
Nexus guy,
Are you in Mexico?
I am a Nexus guy, yes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, really.
I'm in the process right now. Me and Delise are.
Hold on to hear his
yeah,
voice. He
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
really?
No, I
You?
know. Why would you say it that way?
Mr. Do Nothing? Why
Well,
are you
I
surprised that
just
I
thought-
have Nexus?
Well, I just thought that you had to use a certain amount of volume to use the Nexus thing.
No.
Like,
it's
like
open everywhere.
It's not, there's no punch card. They don't go, well, you've had this many trips. Anybody can get a Nexus card. Doesn't matter how much you fly or you don't fly.
Really?
Yeah.
I
I'm
thought it was
surprised
like
you don't have
for
one.
frequent flyers or something like that.
What's that, Dan?
I thought it was like he had his sort of have a lot of flights a year or something like
Nope.
that to get one.
No, the first time I traveled with GFR, who has been traveling for a living, actually, she was in the travel business, and so she has Nexus, and we go to the airport, and she's like, okay, well, I'll see ya. I'm like, where are you going? I got Nexus. I'm on my way.
I'll meet you in the
wow.
lounge.
She says, I'll meet you. And I was like, wow, this girl means business.
I'll meet you in the Tim Hortons lineup, which goes right down the corridor, around the bend, and out onto the tarmac.
Let me tell you something about Rachel Hilton. If you ever see her in a Tim Hortons
Oh,
lineup,
okay.
that's not her.
Starbucks?
Yeah. Believe me, it's somebody that looks like her. It ain't her.
It is amazing because when I get there and I see the lineup, and the Starbucks lineup's long too, but I see
yeah.
the Hortons lineup and the Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's interesting, isn't it? There's a statement on Canada.
They've got 7 of them at the airport now for that reason.
Oh, just they really?
There's too many lineups.
Do they stink?
Yeah. They do.
Do they stink?
They stink like coffee.
Anyway.
All right, easy now.
I used to work at one of them.
All right, Phil. Phil got very mad at Fred and I, Dan, and we'll tell the story. Seriously, Phil was livid.
Like
Anyway.
really mad.
Oh yeah, because anyway, it'll be fun. I'm sorry.
Something to do with Tim Hortons?
No. No.
No. Dan Duran, all your weather is always it's a welcome change, and we appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us.
Thank you very much. How long are you guys gone for? This is going to be I'm going to miss you guys.
I'm gone 9 days, and Howard's gone how many? 7?
No, I'm gone Saturday to Friday, but all next week there'll be best of shows. Hopefully there'll be some Dan Duran appearances because they always are one of the best things on our program. Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
All right,
Have a-
everybody. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and tell you why Phil is really mad at Humble and Fred. And apparently we have been offending him for years and without even knowing it. And hopefully we'll see if we can get the microphones to work as well. This is Humble and Fred Radio on Funny 820 and a bunch of Bell stations and, of course, at humbleandfredradio.com.
out the door and took the key. You feeling alright? I'm not feeling too good myself. Yes, sir. You feeling alright? I'm not feeling that good myself. Boy, you shelter me for warm back right. And even now I sit and I wonder why. That when I think of you, I stop myself to cry. I just can't waste my time. I must get by. Gotta stop believing the more you lies. Cause there's too much to do before I die. Hey, you feeling alright? I'm not feeling too good myself. Oh no, you feeling alright? I'm not feeling too good, little girl.
It's Humble and Fred Radio, where each and every day we ask the question, is this mic working? Is that mic work? Hey, man. Welcome back. Yesterday on Twitter, Toronto Mike, who is handling our social media right now, put out an old video of you and I. It's the TV commercial from the late 80s. Oh. I know the one you got in a dress. I don't know why you were in a dress, okay? It's 30 years ago. I can't remember.
You wouldn't.
You really think that's it?
Probably.
No. Well, you don't know. But you're still angry about something that happened 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'm real angry.
You're livid. Livid.
I got, hey, Phil, look, I got smoke coming out my ears.
Well, don't even look at him. He's not big in us right now.
What does that mean?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of tension between you and management.
Tension.
Oh,
He's
man,
gonna
lots
go,
of stuff. What?
He's going to go use the chamber plan HR component.
Oh, yeah.
I got to talk to them about the tension in my anesthetic.
Oh, yeah. Lot of tension.
That hurts.
Lot of tension. Lot of tension. Welcome, everyone. If you're listening on Southern Ontario's comedy leader, Canada's comedy superstation, Funny 820. Great day for you. Dan Duran's forecast called for a ridiculous high around 12 degrees today. Lots of golf courses still open. Lots. I'm going to be, I say 3 that I know of. There's a place on the QEW around, well, I've said Hidden Lakes is open. There's another place, I think it's called Deerfield. It's on the QEW. Richview, another one open out there in that sort of escarpment area.
Well, isn't that something? And I'm sure some fellows will be on them today. Mm-hmm. Why not?
Yeah, well, I don't even know. Should we go? Can we go any further on this show? We need to break the tension with, our
Do we
number.
deal with that, or do we deal with what's in the news today?
Well, we could do either. We
that
can do both.
everyone's going to be talking about. They're sort of connected.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because this guy assaults people with a bucket of poop, and Phil assaulted us with something different.
Well, this poo story is quite... That's our top story.
Poo bucket.
Who flung poo is our top story. And nothing to laugh at, Phil.
Yeah, 2 incidents. One at University of Toronto, one at York University. One was in a library and one was in a common area where a guy comes in, a fellow wearing a hard hat, and a bucket, and he dumped human feces, human waste, on the people. And if that wasn't bad enough, it was lead story on the news last night. And
how did they... how did they use, what words did they use? How did
human
they term
waste.
it? Human waste.
A
And how
bucket
did
of human waste.
A bucket of human waste.
Right.
Which is available where?
What do you mean available where?
Well, I mean, yeah, it seems like a
You don't
simple
use
thing.
a toilet. You do it in a bucket, and then a couple of times, and then you take off with it. You head for the university.
Okay,
You fetch your bucket of poop.
You seem to be. See, that part fascinates
Well,
me.
I could just figure that out.
Well, it's not as easy as you make it sound, but please continue.
All right.
Poobucket.com.
Or maybe the guy has access. Maybe he works at an RV dealer or something.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you told me that he's done it 2 or 3 times.
Well, he
and
did.
it's a bucket.
It made the news because he did it at the 2 universities, and then driving in this morning, John Moore was telling me that the audience, that a third incident last night. They think it's the same guy. A woman I hear somewhere here in the West End was walking along, and he ran up and threw a bucket of human waste on her.
With what point? What's the end game here?
Well, other than the guy might be mentally ill or unstable, I mean, that would be...
He's an unstable genius?
Yeah. Last night it's on the news, and the whole time it's unfolding, I'm thinking, we got to talk about this tomorrow. How are we going to put a spin on this? How Hummel and Fred is this story? Meanwhile, my wife is totally disgusted, right? She found no humor in it whatsoever. That's disgusting, she kept saying. And then I'm sort of got some levity to it.
Sure you do.
I'm laughing, and I can tell that she really doesn't think I should be laughing because this is so horribly unsanitary.
It is.
Although Moore had a doctor on this morning, and he said, everybody should relax. A one-off of having poop dumped on you isn't really gonna have any long-lasting effects.
Maybe not hygienically, but psychologically.
Oh, psychologically, it's
seriously.
It's horrid. I'd rather take a bullet.
Okay. Again, it's a bit extreme, but no. But if someone's walking down the street and next thing you know they're covered in human waste, that's got to be unsettling. I told you that story recently. For a long time, I was nervous and worried that I was going to walk around a corner and someone was going to hit me with a board.
Right.
Imagine having literally walked around a corner and being covered in someone's poopy. Well, you're going to be thinking twice about what your life's about after that.
And John Moore, he made the point, like everybody downtown now might sort of be in that mindset.
On Poo Alert.
because it's so disgusting and it's so out there that, and it'll be in the news where people will be thinking, boy, if I walk down the street, is somebody going to dump poop on me?
Right.
DEFCON poo.
And then there's that other thing. There's that other aspect that once you get a whiff of something like that,
Yes.
it's hard to stop smelling it.
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
think you smell it even when it's not around.
It's always like because it's a psychological. It's like an echo or a ghost scent.
I remember as a kid getting drunk on cheap wine on a Friday night at a dance. The next Wednesday, every so often I'd be in a situation and go, I could smell that wine.
Did
You know the
did
way
guys-
it comes back, huh?
I have a question about the dance.
Well-
Did anyone yell snowball?
No, but I just I know what that feeling's like. And
I
it's
was the
like,
same
oh,
with
man,
lemon gin.
And I'd start feeling sick again, like days later. So I imagine if you had a bucket of poop dumped on your head, days later.
Years. I remember getting drunk for the first time on lemon gin and
Yeah.
then never wanted to drink gin again.
Right.
I got over that, but no, I know. Listen, it's traumatic. It's nothing to be made fun of. The description of this character, you said he's wearing a
I think
hard
that's
hat.
a bit extreme.
What?
Saying it's nothing to be made fun of. I think that's a bit extreme.
Okay,
It's
easy.
very much.
Well, okay, it's in the same category. I'd rather have a bullet in the head. Okay, so fine. Let's go with me. I went with you on the bullet thing.
It's a load of excrement.
It's I can't remember what my stupid point was going to be now. What was it? Oh,
Well, you were
anyway.
drunk.
No. All I'm
he
saying
was
is
drunk on human waste.
I was. We did in Saskatchewan is we would huff poo. Come on, DEFCON poo is funny. It's traumatic, but the description of this person is somebody in a workers type of uniform
Construction
or a
hat.
construction hat.
Yes, yes.
And is there anything said before the poo is flung?
That I don't know. I haven't received that part of the report.
Okay.
Why? What do you
Well, I
think
don't
he'd
know.
yell?
I just
Hey, who flung poo? Who flung poo? I did.
yeah. I flung poo.
Who flung dung?
Apparently, he was giggling like nuts after.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, the guy,
Of
the
course
guy's
he was.
obviously a bit. I'd say he's a bit off.
Yeah.
But I mean, where's that seed? Where's that seed of the idea? Where does that hatch? Here's what I'll do.
I know what I'll do. That's why my first question was, and you seem to dismiss it. It's not easy gathering enough of your own human waste to have buckets of it. Buckets.
Okay. Why?
Because
Okay, it's Monday. Okay,
Okay.
it's Monday or Tuesday. I'm in the planning stages. I'm going to throw human waste on people. I've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
To go in a bucket or a big drum or
A drum
something.
bucket.
Whatever.
Okay. It's just me.
You have 4 or 5 days of it.
Yeah, but that's one bucket.
Why? Are you constipated?
No, I'm saying that you get five events to fill. You can't do 3 buckets of that. That's one bucket. He must have gone somewhere and taken the human waste from that place. That's what I'm saying.
Or drank a lot of
Well,
laxative.
maybe he did.
This is not a do-it-yourself project.
You don't have 2 a day or sometimes?
Sure, I do,
Okay, well then that could be. He could have had 6, 7 dumps.
but not every day. Some
And
days
then
I do.
split it in half and use one for York University and
Dump
the other for the
allocation.
UNC.
3 of them.
All right.
It's a lot of bucket. Wow.
A lot of it may be urine.
Okay.
yeah.
So that I get.
Figure it out.
Well, I didn't know. But when I think of human waste, I just think of number 2. But you're right. Maybe he filled up with number 1 as well. Okay. Wow.
Oh.
So
And in some cases, the urine might be worse than the poop.
Yes.
well, see now I
Unless
do
the
see
poop's
when
loose.
because I was just thinking of number 2s, and that you can't fill 3 buckets with 1 week's worth of number 2s.
I can.
Yeah, like I
3
it all-
buckets.
It all depends,
Buckets.
Howard. It
Buckets.
depends on the person.
Yeah.
Hold on, is this mic even working?
Yeah, well, it's off and on here.
Like, how do you know the
Hold
guy
my
didn't
hand.
take a fleet enema or something? It's
Yeah.
part of the plan.
Well, now the details are coming in.
Yeah.
Or Restoralax.
A what? Or
Restoralax.
Ducalax.
Yeah, Ducalax.
All right. Wow.
Well, that actually
the
The
fights
guy,
you know-
maybe the guy's a planner.
Things got really quite tense there for a second.
Tubs.
We were yelling about the poo buckets. I'll tell you one thing. No one else is talking about this like this. Anyway, we have a song. Do we have a song? Okay, here's the song.
Well, we found. Yeah.
Oh, no, my computer just shut down.
Oh no. Anyway, we found a song called "Who Flung Poo." We thought it would be
It would be.
appropriate for this morning.
But someone threw cold poo at the idea.
So, are we being told by the authorities to watch out for the poo flung bandit?
You know what an interesting aspect of this is?
Tell me while I find my
It falls
computer
into
here.
the assault
Yes, it
category,
does.
and it could be assault with a weapon.
Right.
It
Wow.
could. Can you imagine that going to? Because they're saying human feces, like thrown onto somebody, could be considered like a weapon.
Yeah, because it's biological.
Yeah,
Well, considering what
biological warfare.
considering what we walked into this morning, I understand. I felt assaulted.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, and that wasn't even a weapon either.
Yeah, it was a weapon.
No, that was a warning
All
shot.
right, here's the a warning shot. Here is the. Let me see if I got this in the right spot now.
Whoa.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Everyone sing along with Who Flung Poo.
Just got back from breakfast with my shiny shoes. Couldn't stand the bacon, but now I got the blues. I'm really quite surprised. Someone like to hear the news. Where's that smoke coming from, and who just threw that poo?
So what are they saying? Who flung poo?
And me and you.
Oh, at me and you. Yeah.
Who flung
Perfect
poo
song.
and me and you? Yeah.
Perfect song.
Yeah.
While we're listening to this, let's talk about our friends at Strain Print. Strainprint.ca. Phil? Fred? Somebody?
Hey, use cannabis better with the free Strain Print Companion app. It'll help you learn how much more rewarding and beneficial your experience with cannabis can be. The app available at all the usual places. Yes, it is, and it is so convenient. Learn from others about your cannabis journey by simply tapping the Explore tab on the app. You can see what strains are providing the highest, what's the word? Efficacy?
Sure.
Is that the word? Mm-hmm. Efficacy for symptom treatment. All right. Or go to streamprint.ca. Again, all the information is there. It really is. Whatever ails you, again, you just put it in and you get the answer from Strainprint. Strainprint.ca or the Strainprint app.
Can I have that now? Sir? Here's a little song for you people that are worried about the guy with the bucket. Do you know this song, Phil? It's Chaos and Poo Bucket. Well, I hope they catch this person, because no one needs to walk around a city like this worrying about that. I'll do this. FYI Music News. It's updated weekdays, written for and about Canada's music industry. Recently, our friends in Triumph were inducted into the Canada's Walk of Fame, and apparently there's a really cool video coming out next week of them. It was a tribute, and I'm trying to think. A bunch of people, including Larry Gowan, got on stage and sang a bunch of Triumph songs. And I think if you're on our age category, you'll know that band, and look for that. That's one of the stories at FYIMusicNews.ca. Of course, the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame ceremonies around the same time. Check that out. Lorraine Segato from Parachute Club inducted, along with several others. The FYI website provides expanded features, including a weekly careers section and so much more. FYIMusicNews.ca. Yeah. You can get a hold of us if you want to. 1-833-437-8465. Live on Facebook, as always. Live on Twitch. So Mike put up that video of you and I from 1989. And then, with YouTube, the video stops. Mm-hmm. And then they up next.
They'll have an autoplay.
An autoplay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that played after I watched our commercial again, because Mike tweeted it out, was a feature I did, or they did with me, from the Deanie Petty Show from 1994.
Right.
Because at that time, for a couple years, I was a regular on that show every week. And then one of the, not that we were running out of ideas, but one of the things we thought might be fun was to come and film us doing the show together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I don't know if I'll send the link to you, but it's a pretty interesting snapshot of the Humble and Fred show. We're broadcasting out of Brampton at the time. you had your little sports area, and and Dan sat across the glass on the other side. And I completely forgot about this person that did traffic on our show.
Do you want me to guess?
Yeah.
Marla West?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't forget about her. Like, I can't remember her, but I was like, oh, yeah. Because I hadn't thought about that for years. Why are you smiling?
Oh, I just remember a couple of incidents with Marla.
Yeah. That was
not showing up for work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was one of those things where we got, remember she's on holidays and she didn't want to come back or couldn't. It was one of those missed flight things. And
yeah, it was. She asked if she wanted to go to Israel or something.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Should we be saying this story? Oh,
it doesn't matter.
It's long ago.
But whatever it was.
Anyway, she was advised really not to go. The time frame wasn't there because she had to be back.
For ratings.
By a certain time. Well, the night before she was supposed to be back and we were back, we were going to be back on the air the next day, my phone rings and it's her, like, irate. Oh, I missed my flight. I'm not going to be able to make it. And I said, this does not look good, Marla, just so you know. Yeah, but it's not my fault. And I remember that controversy. Just one of those things along the way.
But it was really cute because and in each week I had to come up with a segment for this show, and it was fun. And I did this bit called The Professional Husband. It was and every week I would come on and do some jokes about being married. And then we had this idea to come watch the Humble and Fred show or film it. But in part of the running gag was we kept cutting to different people being interviewed and saying Howard is a hard worker, incredibly talented, and consummate professional. And everybody said it. You did, Dan did, Marla did. And then there was a group shot of a bunch of people. It was really cute. It was Jason. No, and Jason did it, Danger Boy. And it was cute, funny. You got to see it because he's like just joined the show. He actually says, "My name's Jason Barr. I'm an intern here on the Humble and Fred show." And then there's this group shot, and it included our friend Rob Baird.
Oh, okay, right.
Rob and his wife Karen, and this group shot like robots all going, "Howard is a hard worker, consummate professional," and it was really cute, but it was also very nostalgic. You look at it, and it's the quirk of doing this job as we have for all these years. Are you looking for it?
The screenshot.
No, I'm looking at a couple of things here.
The screenshot makes you look like Bob Saget in a way. I don't know why.
The screenshot from the thing?
Like
oh, yeah, that's the screenshot from the commercial.
Yeah. Oh, no. That from the clip. The top
that's
there.
the commercial.
But your face looks like, like even your hairstyle was
I'll
a Bob
tell you.
Saget thing.
Well, it's 25, go.
Oh, yes.
And also a young Dan Duran. Like, we're all really young. I'm 34 in this clip. You're 38. Dan's 36. But what I was getting at is part of the quirk of doing this for a living is getting to look back at yourself, like in full on, in the middle of work. I don't want to say this. I look back at that time, and it's funny, like you look at a 34-year-old version of yourself, and you just wish you could say to that person, just relax a little bit. You can just see the way I'm on the air at the time, and I was really intense, and I was really just funny seeing a 34-year-old version of yourself. It was. I think you'll enjoy it, but it's also for me it's like looking through a prism of perspective, and I wish I could have just
You
quickly.
were quite intense in those days. Yes, you were.
Well, you know what? It all worked.
It served.
Ultimately,
it served you well.
Well, I don't know. It served something, but it's different. Looking at it now, it's different.
Rob Baird, he worked with us in the creative department, and now
he's the vice president of some movie company.
Co-president of Blue Sky Studios, which is an arm of Disney Animation.
Yeah. We've mentioned him recently. He wrote, and I think he wrote Ferdinand, the animated movie,
and the other one. A few of them. Anyway, big star.
Anyway, go have a look at it. I mean,
Monsters University.
If you want, it's on if you follow us on Twitter at HumbleFredRadio, just look at the commercial. We put that up before, but if you just let it play, you can see this bit. And like I said, I watched it a couple times, mainly focusing on how intense a 34-year-old guy I was. Anyway, I'm only, in that clip, I'm only a couple years older than you.
Very true. And you got to appreciate the folks who actually took the tape, recorded you guys, and then decided years later, I feel like posting on YouTube. Like, these are people you don't know personally, like, fans of the show, and went, I think I should post this.
But we were a good combo, though, because I was just so laid back. And,
Relaxed.
You were somewhat frenetic and crazy.
Yeah, very
and
laid back.
I was laid back.
Yeah,
I was the cool cucumber.
You finished?
Took her easy.
Why don't you look at yourself in this? Go look at yourself in this
I
thing,
don't look
too.
at myself.
Yeah,
I don't
do
look
it.
at myself. I don't. Can't.
You should.
It's
You
horrid.
can see how cool and cucumber like you were. you looked a little bit like you're still not sure what's going on with me.
I still don't.
I know. That's terrible. You're such a cucumber. Why don't you take a cucumber, stick it in your
Cucumber
Why don't you stick it in your poo bucket? So there I am looking at my 34-year-old self, my partner here, 38 years old, and how young, and I guess I hadn't even had a kid yet, and the whole world was in front of us, and then I wanted to tell you now I'm going to be 60 soon, and my search history is filled with leg pain while driving.
What's that?
Leg pain while driving.
Oh, right. Okay.
This is what I'm searching now. Like, I have nothing. My whole computer is filled.
So what's this now?
Now?
So your
buddy.
leg is in pain while driving.
It has been for a long time. I drove to Stratford and back actually Rachel drove back because my leg was bugging me so bad. I've got I'm not sure if it's sciatic or it's called piriformis, but I can't eat. By the time the show's over, my legs are on fire sitting here.
So what are you going to be like by the time you're 70?
I don't know.
So what are you going to do?
I'm going to take a bucket of poo.
You should not be in that kind of pain at
I'm
your age.
working on it.
Well, how are you working on it?
I'm Googling leg pain while driving.
Oh. Sounds like surgery to me. No, I mean, that's...
I know. It's crazy, man.
like, I'm 63 and I have no pain.
Well, you're also... You're active, but you're not active in a similar way
No,
that I
I'm
am.
not, yeah, I'm not whipping my body out of shape 1,000 times a week.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought you'd find that funny because I'm looking at my search history, and it's just like my Instagram... you basically choose who you want to follow or the type of thing you want to follow. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah.
But my Instagram is filled with two things: sciatic relief and golf swings.
What? Let me ask you this on a serious note.
Yes, please.
Have you done any research? 60-year-old professional golfers and the type of ailments they have?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Generally.
much, I'm in that sort of zone, yeah.
Well, at what point do you stop pursuing the perfect swing
Never.
and sort of relax a bit and give your body a bit of a rest? Because obviously it's damaging you.
Are you just now tuning into the fact that my
What?
my legs have been bugging me for some time?
No,
Oh.
Howard. While you're driving now, that's a whole new spin. I know you're on constant pain, but now it's like, while I'm driving, my legs are in pain. That's a little bit of a new spin. I'm just jumping on that.
Okay.
And I'm saying, so it's something new you're adding to the list.
I've been.
Why don't you just...
I know. I should just sit back.
No.
I have to go now. We have to go.
Yeah, just pull it back.
Okay. Listen, when we come back, why is Phil mad at us? Oh, you're going to find out. It's going to get very salty in here. Apparently, and this has just been brand new information, we reek.
Yeah.
It's Humble and Fred Radio. We're live for the first time in Southern Ontario since 2005. Think about it, folks. We're not going to live forever. This is when you go and tell the community, hey, community, Humble and Fred are still alive. Get back to us. It's humbleandfredradio.com.
She comes into focus. The closer she gets, the more I know. down to dinner in his Sunday best. Excitable boy, they all said. And he propped the pot roast all over his chest. Excitable boy, they all said. Well, he's just an excitable boy.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
Took in the 4 a.m. show.
There was quite a few things I wanted to get to here today. A lot of people have been sending us some nice notes.
And he bit the usheress leg in the dark.
There's several things.
Crazy Mike Babcock story too.
Yeah.
To add to the heap, but we can get to that too. The position he put a young Mitch Marner in, unbelievable.
Yeah, what was I watching? I just saw a clip of Marner. Is that what that was about?
Yeah.
I didn't really watch the whole thing. I was going to ask you about Marner. Man, these kids are young. They're
Yeah.
so young, these boys.
Very young. Do you want the story now?
Well, sure. I guess. I just wanted to mention a couple people that had
Yes.
sent notes in. Rick Cameron, big fan of the show, had to laugh at Freddie's predicament at the Craft Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
This is a story from last week where some guy assaulted Fred. Didn't throw poo at him, but basically threw shade. What are you, 3 or 4?
4.
You know what shade is, Phil? Guy threw shade at Fred.
Wow.
Guy looked at Fred and said, "What are you looking at?"
All right.
And I was just looking at what beer he had purchased. It was weird.
He said, Rick says, "I'm also offended for a group of people I have no connection with that Freddie called mental midgets. Just busting your chops, guys."
Did I use that term?
You did.
How?
You.
How un-2019?
You.
How dare I?
How dare
It's-
you.
I'm surprised we haven't heard from the commission.
Here's Gary Norris says, "Hi, guys. I'll jump on the I Love the Dan Duran Weatherson bandwagon. It has a cool Charlie Brown vibe to it." That's from Gary. He's a Hyundai P. A bunch of people checking in about your purple Christmas lights.
Yes. I'm looking for purple floods. I really appreciate all the feedback I got. A lot of it is purple string lights, which you can get. A lot of them are LED. It's not really what I was after. I was looking for purple floods.
I was going to ask you about the LED craze. Is that still a thing?
Well, it's pretty much all you can get now.
Serious?
Incandescent has been taken off the market.
Yes.
I like those LED lights.
Yeah, absolutely.
They give me, you know what they do? They fill me with wonder and joy.
At a cheaper rate.
Comfort.
Yes, comfort and joy. You're right. Here's another one. So that's got lights. Oh, yes, here's Debbie Lynch says, "Hi, guys.
Here are people.
In case you ever put too much salt, sugar, or burn the sauce." This is when it comes to tomato sauce. Just put a peeled potato in the sauce, simmer for an hour, remove potato, and adjust seasonings. If you've burned the sauce, remove it to another pot, careful not to disturb burnt portion. Insert peeled potato, and life is good again.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
one of those life hacks.
Life hacks. Mike Barth says, "Hey, Humble, I know you like Beck." And he sent a new Beck song.
Okay.
And he says, "I bet if," he says, "you said before Halloween that you couldn't think of anything that would get you into a costume." He says, "I bet if GFR needed a back half to her horse costume, you'd be all in." Lol. It's true. Keep the funny coming. I love you guys. I like when people sign their emails with "I love you guys" because that sends a message of joy to us. And we need it
I just
in
saw,
these dark times.
I just saw this. This is sweet too, from Dawn Jaycox. Further to the Christmas lights, the purple Christmas lights. She said, "I noticed them at Canadian Tire the other day because they were so pretty." And then I had made the point that Delise wanted them, and she writes here. Dawn Jaycox writes, "Delise is so wonderful. I hope you can get the lights for her."
Aw.
Obviously, they've met it at our our functions, our get-togethers.
They told him
Those purple lights.
the purple lights you see, bum ba ba doom boo. Delise is sweet and kind, doom boo. Her man is farty swing, come trippy doo boo, bumpa doo boo, boo ah.
Yeah, she was really appalled at the feces in a bucket.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Sending out an SOS.
Sending out an SH. Yeah.
No, SOS pad.
Yeah.
Sending out some SOS pads.
Ooh.
And just
Officer.
another story I had too. I want to tell you about later too. Is while I think about it, because I want to throw it out there, and we should talk about it. A barbecue brush story.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just about to go into a character where I'm the person who's just had poo flung on me.
Oh, okay, good. I'm sorry.
Here we go. Watch
Right.
it. Officer, can you help me, please? You stink, he says. Help!
Oh, holy crap.
The poo is flinging. Yeah, there's no joking the matter about this. If you use a, most of us do, when you scrape your barbecue, you use some version of a wire brush.
Well, since last week, my son-in-law's uncle has had 3 surgeries. He got a couple of them, of the bristles, caught in his esophagus, and they can't get them. They keep moving.
Oh, man.
He's in excruciating pain. And, you hear these stories, and honestly, part of me thinks, come on. But this is a real story really happening to a guy, and they know it's from a bad or an overused barbecue brush or a cheap barbecue
Cheap one.
brush.
That because with time they start to disintegrate. But
Yes.
I have 3 questions. Number 1, what was he eating?
Don't know.
Well, how do you not know? That's the first thing you ask.
Why?
Well, because
what does it matter?
Here's why. Because certain foods, like if it's a burger, you could see that a little piece of wire might get caught in it.
Right.
So it's like if you're like a piece of fish or a standalone steak, you're going to see it. But if
Maybe, hopefully.
well, yeah. I mean, and because the way you and I eat, I can just see myself just going through a burger, and then all of a sudden noticing there's something sharp in my throat.
But one of those little sharp things could actually go into the steak. You wouldn't even see it, and then you would ingest it.
Well, I guess the second question I was going to say is how big was the piece?
Well, it doesn't take much.
No, exactly.
If it goes down the wrong way and lodges, it's foreign matter in that area, and your body sort of rejects it. And it's
in a lot of pain, huh?
This guy's going through hell, yeah.
Jesus.
And they've apparently tried to get it 3 times already, and it's very, intricate. Down
And it's in a
there.
precarious. Well, I was going to say
Yeah.
it's in a precarious spot. Mm-hmm. And who's this fellow?
My
who's this
son-in-law Josh, his uncle.
So son-in-law Josh's uncle.
Uh-huh.
So how are you related to that person?
I'm not.
Well, you got to go visit. That was my third question. Aren't you going to go visit Uncle Josh? It's kind of.
I don't think I've ever met the guy.
It doesn't matter. It's
He
family.
was probably at the wedding.
Yes.
I don't recall. But
Yes.
so of course now Delise wanted to know exactly what kind of barbecue brush I got one of the Dan Duran put me onto these. It's like it's almost like metal cable twisted, so it can't sort of come apart like those traditional brushes do.
Yeah, I hear you.
And it's pretty cool, and it does a good job, and there's no way these things can fragment. So
It's scary. What were you going to say, sir?
I was gonna say my dad, he attaches it's kind of like a pad over top of the brush, so the pad is what touches the grill and the actual little pieces of metal.
no,
don't
I get
on
it. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
those.
I know those. Yeah, that's the one I have. The one I have is it's like a clump. With a soft clump
Right.
of some kind of material. There aren't wire. There's not brushes sticking out.
No,
of
I know what you're
yeah.
talking about. I've seen them. Yeah.
What I was going to say, of all the things you think you're going to hear in a day, are you going to hear about a guy throwing buckets of human waste at people? Is another? You okay over there?
Excuse me. I don't know what that was.
What just happened?
That was like a half hiccup.
But and then you hear about the guy is in surgery because he had some kind of barbecue thing. You just never know.
No, I get it. Like, 2 weeks ago or whenever, 2 days before this guy goes through this barbecue brush thing, it would not be anywhere in his mind.
Exactly.
Like 2 days from now, I'm going to be in a hospital because there's bristles caught in my throat.
Hey, Mr. Patterson, it's like that time you were downtown, you got a fish bone stuck in your throat. That could have turned into surgery.
Yeah. Or last year when all of a sudden the top of my head's sore, and within 3 days I find out I'm on medication for shingles. And you've been through that as well. And it's like,
Shingles.
wow. I didn't see this baby coming.
Which, again, not to, become too esoteric or whatever, but it does make sense then that there is a point to be made for being grateful for this moment in time when we don't have any of those things going. I mean, like right now, I feel great. I've got no leg pain. You know, I don't have a brush shard in my esophagus. And so far, no one has flung poo at me today. So it's a great day.
On that point, I went into the pharmacist yesterday near my home, and I thought I'm just going to ask the pharmacist, because you see all those commercials when it comes to shingles. Ask your pharmacist. So I went in, and it was a young woman, pharmacist, and I said, you know, a year ago I had shingles. And it was a mild case. I was on medication. I got over it. It wasn't really a problem. And I'm just wondering, in your opinion, should I have the shingle shot? And she says, oh, yes, you should. And I said, really? I said, okay, because I'd done a little research, and they said if you've got it once, you probably won't get it again, and probably definitely not within a year or so. And she said, well, that's true. I said, okay, well, why should I get the shot then? Well, just to make sure. And I said, oh, okay, it's sort of that vital. She says, well, it's about a 5% chance that you'll get them again, but you might want to get the shot. And I walked out of there totally confused. Would you, if you had a 5% chance, get the shot?
Listen, dude, I had it in my... Dude, I called you dude. So my shingles attack was over 20 years ago.
Yours was a lot worse than mine.
And it lasted a long time. And I've never had a reoccurrence. And it never occurred to me until you had shingles that it was even a thing. Rachel had the shingle shot. But I didn't. Because I've had it, and so far, 20 years on, I haven't had any other symptoms.
I guess there's nothing to lose by having it. I mean, I'd rather not have a shot if I don't need a shot for whatever reason.
What about the
That's
flu
silly.
shot? You going to get it?
I never get the flu shot.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, you know what the flu shot was last year? It was about 11%. You know, some years it can be 45, 50% chance of guarding you against whatever the next flu is.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's
yes.
very low.
Yeah.
I've never had a flu shot, but once every 3 years I get a bit of a flu. I can live with that.
Well, and people listening might go, that's not the point. It's for other people. I'm not around that many other people.
Neither am I. And we pride ourselves in that.
You know, even last night.
That's my part.
Last night I went to do stand-up. I was around some people for about 90 minutes. Then I pieced out.
People say that to me. What do you do for mankind? I say I stay away from mankind.
Exactly.
That's what I do.
And you know what? We thank you for it. While we're just getting our refreshing the coffee, Phil, while Mr. Patterson talks about the chamber plan. No, actually, you know what? Save the Sherpa. We'll do Sherpa later. Can you find me the Gig Sky, please?
Absolutely.
Yesterday we had a great chat with Brett Tanner from Tanner Financial about the Chambers plan. You know, again, that was a great conversation that highlighted how much more affordable this is for small businesses.
Yeah, and if you've looked in it before and it was a little pricey, you might want to revisit it because it's sort of a moving target type thing. It's becoming more and more affordable as time goes on because more and more businesses become part of it. Over 30,000 businesses now part of it, small businesses across Canada. They've been around for 40 years. And as Brett said yesterday, you know, give us a call. Let's revisit the whole situation. It might work for you now. And you can go to chamberplan.ca, get a free quote, and find out exactly where you stand and how possible this is for you. And it's simple, it's stable, it's smart, it's the right thing to do for your employees. Hey, it's the right thing to do for you. Chamberplan.ca.
You know, early in November, we had that November dumping, you know, when November was horrible to us all. I know a lot of people started thinking about getting away. Don't forget to get your Gig Sky service before you travel so that you can stay connected. The Gig Sky eSIM is now available on the new Google Pixel 4 devices, as well as the Pixel 3 and 3A. The same regional plans and world plans available on the eSIM-enabled iPhones are available on the new Google eSIM phones. All you got to do is download the latest version, get the app onto your phone, create an account, which is simple. Purchase a data plan and you're on your way. If you want the hotspot, we got it for you at humbleandfredradio.com. Of course, the physical SIM is also still available, but you can't beat it. Don't even try. You'll be sorry and look stupid if you do. Sorry about that. Just got away on a little bit of a tangent. Yeah, there's a story I wanted to get into about, like, you know, as a man of the Hebrew faith, I have no problem with Christmas. I really don't. I never have. I've been celebrating it in some weird fashion my whole life. And so at this point in time, I mean, we have Santa Claus. He's called Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
And we have Christmas. It's a Christian holiday. 1 billion Christians, and that's beautiful. And then everyone's like, we shouldn't say Happy Christmas. That's also dumb. But there's a story here about a gender-neutral Santa Claus. And I'm sorry, it's just dumb. This is from the London Mirror. People say Santa should now be female or gender-neutral, sparking debate. In a poll, a quarter of the respondents in this UK poll say Santa should be rebranded as female or gender-neutral, but not everyone agrees. Now, there's one of those stories that seems to come up every year at this time, the war on Christmas, and you know what? Whatever. It's another case of people being offended for other people who aren't even offended and are carrying on with their lives, etc., etc. But this is the first time I've heard this. So I wasn't going to bring it up because I'm so tired of hearing about it, but it is a little bit different in that there's people thinking, well, we shouldn't call that person, we should call them something else because it's offending me by the fact that they're a man. It's a made-up man.
Like, I don't get that. You know, if Santa Claus didn't exist and it was born today, there might be a debate on should it be male or female. Okay, I get it. But that's a traditional thing. It just so happens that tradition was male.
Right.
So what about Cinderella? What about Snow White? Should we do it with them too?
But there's as made up, and the thing is, you know, just one last thing before you take over here. Just the idea of the genesis of the character of Santa Claus. It's not the Santa Claus in the 1930s image. That image we have of Santa Claus was made up by a soft drink company.
That's right.
The actual story of Saint Nicholas, he happened to be a man. Saint Nicholas.
That's the point.
So if you're going to change, you can't go back and change the fact that he was a man. The same way in the story of Cinderella, she was a woman.
And Snow White.
etc.
And what was Peter Pan?
A boy. But although Peter
played
Pan's
by a woman.
Played by a woman in the movie. But the story of Saint Nicholas, the character that the Coca-Cola Santa Claus is based on, Father Christmas, was a man.
And there's Mother Nature. Should we change that?
And well, exactly.
Like it goes on and on. I wish these people would just shut up and think before they open their mouths.
But what I love about these stories, though, in the UK Mirror or whatever that publication is, the comments are great, though. And most of the comments are kind of saying what we're saying. Here's somebody says, Santa isn't real. Thinking Santa should be female or gender neutral is no more moronic than thinking he should be male. Anyway. So they don't come up. They have no actual, here. There's no new name. Apparently in New Zealand, a shopping center unveiled a Santa Claus modeled on Mary Poppins, complete wearing knickers and fishnet stockings. Well, that's not bad.
But Mary Poppins isn't male, right? That's as you guys were saying.
I don't know.
You know, it's such a small, tiny segment of society that makes this noise and gets attention. It really is something. And all it does, it just serves to rile up the masses. Because that's just an aggravating story. Like, just shut up. Like, it's just aggravating to think that somebody has that mindset and then actually starts to promote it, and then somebody actually pushes the promotion. It's like bizarre. Because again, it's a tradition, and the tradition was he was male. And there's lots of female traditions too. And it's that slippery slope thing. Where do you stop?
Well, what you said about if it was invented today, or if something was, if we had begun it today, it might be different. But again, the whole thing is so, that's part I don't want to get into. The whole thing is so made up and nonsensical that to debate the made-up character that represents the nonsensical celebration of the birth of Jesus, which was not on the 25th of December. So it's all just hilarious to me. But this is the first time I've heard this. Because we're about, when we come back from Florida next week, we're going to get into the, you shouldn't say Merry Christmas. Which is, that season's upon us.
Have you, again, that's I don't know where that comes from. And again, I live in how many times have I said this over the years, one of the most culturally diverse areas of the country, the city I live in. And again, in people, I don't know if they celebrate Christmas, but a lot of people that I would look at and think, I don't know, like to Sikh, to Punjabi people, do they celebrate Christmas? I don't even know.
Yeah.
But they're all saying Merry Christmas when you check out of the store and like daily interaction. I think you don't need to celebrate Christmas to say Merry Christmas and feel good saying it to somebody who does celebrate it.
Yeah.
Just like I might say to somebody, my neighbor, hey, happy Dollywall, or whatever you call it.
Diwali.
Diwali.
Dolly.
Like the
Dollywally.
thing is, I don't celebrate it, but I feel good that you do.
Yeah.
And I think really that's the extent of it. So this war on Christmas thing, I don't see it.
I mean, making, if you don't celebrate Christmas and the celebration of it is of sort of contra to your religion, then I don't know if you should be made to decorate. I understand why people sort of feel like, hey, well, this class, there's only a certain number of kids that actually celebrate Christmas, but there was a time when we decorated everything in Christmas decorations, and I get why people were like, well, maybe you're making those kids feel a little bit weird, but and I get that, but it's infected the rest of the society in such a weird way that you're not allowed. Like people, I told you the story. People, some number of years ago, started doing this to me in December. Hey, Howard, Merry Christmas. Oh, sorry. Sorry for what? Seriously, they would go, Merry Christmas, Howard. Oh, right, jeez.
See, I don't understand. Of course,
It's working.
It's working. I don't understand how religion is coming into it in 2019 because it's something like it's a consumer holiday. Santa was created by Coca-Cola 100 years ago.
Basically,
so it's like
the idea of it.
This image we have of Christmas is now we're so focused on religion. It's 2019. It's like we're at an age of consumer-oriented holiday here, and it doesn't make sense to me. I'm with you, Fred.
Well, no. But the thing is, I sort of disagree. The thing is, it's never, ever, ever, ever in my life or the people I'm close to, religion has never really been part of it.
Right.
To be honest.
That's what, and that's
it
what
hasn't.
I mean. Like when I was growing up in Brampton, going to school in Brampton, it was, everyone had their own religion, but we still walked around the halls saying Merry Christmas because it was like we're thinking about Santa Claus. We're kids, It wasn't about I'm going to church on December 24th.
Yeah. No, I know, but the whole it's how our society's evolved too. When I was a kid, in school in the 70s and the 70s. I was going to say the 80s.
No, you
70s.
were not. Yeah, the 70s.
The landscape was different. Everybody, like 99% of the people, celebrated Christmas. That's the way it was. Well, go ahead to 2019. The percentages are different. But then it gets back to the cultural aspects. I mean, the basis of our culture was that. Should you dump it? You know what I mean? Or should you hold on to it a bit? And how much should it be respected for historical reasons?
Right, and a lot of things have changed. When I was a kid in the 60s, having to say the Lord's Prayer as a little Jewish baby prairie boy.
Did you have to?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what? See...
Because they wouldn't. Here's why.
We were given the option in Scarborough.
See, there was no option given. That's the point.
Yeah.
And that's what the pendulum swinging from a monoculture to a multicultural society was to allow for the little Jewish boys and girls and the little Sikh kids who didn't want to say the Lord's Prayer because the society was so Christian Protestant centric. But that was the population of the country for many years was predominantly one religion.
But see, Howie, I think it even goes beyond that from my perspective. I was never big, and I don't even know if my kids did, maybe in the early years. I don't want my kids saying the Lord's Prayer at school. I'm sorry. I don't want religion in the school.
No, I know, but it was.
Oh, no, I know it was. And I think it's a good thing that we've moved out of... I don't think religion belongs in the school.
No.
And I don't think any kid should be saying the Lord's Prayer at school because you know why? Forget other religions. There are people that have no religion.
Yeah,
respect them.
But my point is that the reason that we've come this other way, which is no one should say it, is because for the longest time we were a monotheology, a society built on one way of looking at the world. Well, it's different now.
Right.
And so that's why the pushback came. Do you understand what I'm saying, Sean?
Of course.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if you did.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason there's this backlash is because at one time in the country, we were all standing up. We were all the same, but we really weren't. So those people that weren't the same have finally had enough of the, Christmas thing. But as one of those people, I think it's hilarious when people get nervous around me. Is it okay if I say Merry Christmas? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I don't, I have nothing. I had nothing to do with the Jesus thing. So are we good with that? Anyway, we'll take a quick break. This is the first, always the very first time you hear any Christmas music on our show. It's always this. Greatest Christmas song of all time. We'll take a quick break. It's Humble and Fred Radio. HumbleandFredRadio.com.
When all our dreams come true. Keep on rocking me,
best friends cruising down West End Street, hiding from cops and driving circles around the block all week. Now all of my friends died out on West End Street. They say we're born to die young, but we're just trying to live in peace. So maybe heaven is a ghetto with no bad blocks.
It's Humble and Fred Radio. Barb Paluskowicz coming in here in a second or two. We're going to talk about IT security. I don't know what you're doing, but you better get some help from CDN Technologies, because if you don't, you could be violated by the internet. Also, I guess it's American Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday is the day, and then Black Friday.
Yeah, on Thursday, I'm a little bit excited. My Buffalo Bills are in Dallas. You know, Dallas usually hosts one of the traditional Thanksgiving Day games, and it's the Bills in Dallas this year.
That'll be cool. Is that one of the afternoon games?
Yeah, 4:30 it starts.
Yeah. You know what?
Detroit usually has the 12 o'clock game. I don't know who they're hosting this year, but
I might give that a look. Now that the PGA Tour is on a 6-week hiatus now, other than the President's Cup, so I might check out your Bills.
And Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, because it's Black Friday and a holiday in the United States, the Leafs and Sabres in Buffalo at 4 o'clock. Not, even though it's a Friday, it's 4 o'clock, not 7 o'clock.
So speaking of hockey, I don't know what it was that where I was and how I got to this clip of Mitch Marner talking about some incident, but I was struck by the fact that Mitch Marner, like a lot of your Maple Leafs, they're just he's really young. Like, I mean, they all just look young.
He's about 21, 22.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And when you're a kid, when we were little, hockey boys growing up, you just think of these players, the great, whether it was Bobby Orr as a kid or Gretzky, you just think of them as being grown men, but they're not.
Right.
So I saw Mitch Marner being discussing something, and you're going to tell me what it was.
Well, it goes back to his rookie season. Mike Babcock works in weird ways, man. Went up to Mitch, got him aside all by himself and said, listen, and again, he's a rookie. He's intimidated by the whole situation. He said, Mitch, what I would like you to do is I want you to grade all the other players on the team based on who works the hardest to who works the least hardest.
He gave this responsibility to a kid?
To a rookie. And Marner thought, this is weird, but I'm new to this. I guess I should do it. So Marner actually did it for him because he was sort of mandated to do it. Didn't want to, but did. What else is he going to do? Anyway, he reveals the list to Babcock, and Nazem Kadri's right on the bottom. And again, he felt weird. What does Babcock do? He goes and tells the team, here's what Mitch did. And Kadri found out that he was at the bottom of the list. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, how weird is that?
Well, no wonder they didn't want to play for the guy. He's insane.
And, just to...
Babcock circumcised.
And just to revisit what happened with Jason Spezza the first game of the year, just fully appreciate this. Jason Spezza signs with the Maple Leafs for $700,000 sort of to end his career. He could have got $1 million something somewhere else. He wanted to play for the Maple Leafs. He checks it out with the Leafs management. Babcock, am I going to be given a chance? Yes, you are. He signs with the Leafs, has a pretty good training camp. First game of the season at the ACC against the Ottawa Senators, the team that he had played with for years and years and years and years. He assumes he's going to play. This is great. Toronto kid comes home, always wanted to be a Leaf, playing against the Ottawa Senators. Great. Goes out, spends $12,000 on tickets for family and friends to see him as a Maple Leaf. And about an hour before, 2 hours before the game, Babcock scratches him and puts in another guy for no apparent reason. Then in Columbus, 2 nights later, he plays Spezza back to the ACC on Saturday night against the Montreal Canadiens, scratches him. Just for no real reason whatsoever. Other than he probably thought Spezza wasn't the best signing by Dubas, and now we're learning that they weren't simpatico, so to speak, and just did it like a vendetta or something.
I think in a way it's actually, you should take some solace from this, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Think about this. You were very excited, and I'm going to go back 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years. You were really excited about this team. More than I've worked with you for some time. You know.
Yes,
that.
yeah.
I've got video proof. It's been over 30 years. But you were and I was genuinely happy for you. You know, I thought, hey, this is cool. I've never heard the Fred man talk so optimistically. A lot of people get that Leaf fever, you know, as soon as they win game 1 in October, they start planning the parade route. But you're not normally like that. And I would say a couple seasons ago, for sure, you were very excited about the potential of the team. So take some comfort knowing that that team's potential was just sidetracked by a pretty effed up coaching style that maybe doesn't apply anymore to young men. And I'll tell you, that getting back to Mitch Marner and how young he is and how young all of them are, that crap doesn't work in 2019.
No, it doesn't.
So I would say, like, on paper, there's a lot of very, very highly skilled players that might just need a different approach. And that's why that new guy from Brampton, the Keefe master, O'Keefe, what's his name?
Sheldon Keefe.
Keefe?
Keefe.
So maybe his approach. He's a younger style.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been and he's also recently worked with younger players. So do you not take some comfort?
Yes, absolutely. They may turn a corner. A couple of other stories. A guy named Mike Commodore, who's been very public about how much he dislikes Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
He played for Babcock in Anaheim. They didn't get along. He becomes a free agent. Babcock is now in Detroit. Ken Hall and the general manager phones Commodore and says, listen, we got a spot for you on this team. And he said, listen, I'm not going to play for Mike Babcock. And he says, no, everything will be fine now. You know, you're what we need. He's got some muscle, and we'll pay you the $1 million a year you want. And he said, listen, I'm not signing with you guys until I talk to Babcock. He phones Babcock. Babcock sniffing his ass, going, yeah, Mike, come to town. You know, there's a place for you here. We wouldn't have reached out unless there was a spot for you on this team. He goes to Detroit, sits the first 6 games, doesn't even play him. Pretty much derails his career. Mike Modano, last game of the season, he needed to play for the Detroit Red Wings for 1,500 games. There's all this fanfare. The final game, 1,500, then he's going to retire. Babcock scratches him just before the game.
Hammertown guy on Twitch says Mike Commodore was more succinct about Babs and called him an arrogant prick.
Yes.
So getting back to my theory now.
Nice stories, eh?
Yeah, exactly. But
There's something wrong with the guy.
There is something wrong with the guy. But this is great because, I've been sitting here for 30 years watching this team. There's always something. Always something.
Yes.
Defense, always a problem. Coaches always lose the room somehow. But with this crop of guys, and again, going back to a couple of falls now, you were more excited than I remember you being about a team.
And
and at least now you can think, okay, with this raw talent, all we need is somebody not to be a dick.
A 39-year-old coach.
A coach.
Who's coaching in a 2019 style.
Exactly, with a modern take on the game. Because what I said a couple days ago is I don't understand hockey players because, once you're on the ice, you just play like you've been playing since you were a kid. But if you're sort of always wondering what the guy that's leading you is a bit of a kind of a psychotic character or whatever, you don't trust him. Plus, you're playing a system that doesn't. It's not the kind of game you want to play. You can see why they're not the team you think they should be.
And to that point, they trade in the offseason Nazem Kadri to Colorado for Tyson Barrie, an offensive defenseman, a power play quarterback. He got a ton of points last year as the quarterback of their power play in Colorado. Babcock, Dubas brings him to Toronto. Babcock uses him, doesn't put him on the first line power play. This kid is struggling. It's obvious. He's lost. And they ask Babcock about it, and he goes, well, I guess he's going to have to reinvent himself. And in reality, really, who needs to reinvent himself? So Babcock leaves. The kid has scored 2 goals and has 3 assists and looks great.
Well, and if you think about the playoffs last year, they're in the 7th game against Boston, and it's now part of the Babcock legend. The last period of the game, he doesn't play the best player on the team.
No.
So obviously, there was something wrong with this. And I think that now that these stories are coming up more and more, if I'm a Leaf fan, I got to look at this in a positive. I got to look at this and go, wow.
Yeah.
Because on paper, for a couple of years now, this team has didn't show the potential you thought they would have achieved.
Right.
Plus,
and again, this guy coaching 2 games, 2 victories, and a lot of the players have shown their stuff, so to speak. So we'll see. We'll see. Still lots of season to go.
You know how I felt about the coach. You know how I felt about
Yeah,
it
I
for
did.
years.
Yeah,
You know how I
yeah.
felt. I always said, listen, you can't. I'm a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Guy's name is Babcock.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now.
Mhm.
There's something wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dig it. Hi there. Oh, you see, there's my girl. Hi, Barb.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Barb.
Hello, hello, hello,
Hello.
How am I
Finally,
I know.
a little female intervention here on the Humble and Fred show, because we've had a lot of yelling and a lot of smells, and it's not been good, Barb.
I know this whole Santa Claus thing a little bit earlier today, and
No,
now
yeah.
hockey. How am I supposed to?
We haven't even got to the fact that Phil thinks Fred and I reek. Oh, yeah.
Well,
I guess that'll be the podcast extra.
Yeah, that'll be the podcast
Well,
extra today.
Your number is 1-833
HF Stink, you are correct. Can we just fix that for Barb a little bit, guys? Barb Paluskowicz is the head of a very fine company, CDN Technologies. Now, you've got notes in front of you. I don't know where you want to go with this, but I think everyone should be, listen, if you're not protecting your business with CDN Technologies, you're leaving yourself wide open to being inundated with lots of leg pain while driving sponsored ads. That's what I get. What's up, Barbie?
Well, since Santa Claus is coming to town, I have a suggestion for all these small business owners out in the GTA, what they should ask him for.
Yes, what should they ask Santa Claus for?
Well, you know what? They should ask for new computers, especially if they're running Windows 7 operating systems or if they have Server 2008.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know. The only Windows thing I use regularly, Fizzy, is I use Word.
Yes.
I have Windows, or I have Microsoft Word for Mac. Is your mic working at all?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it anymore. Then just throw it out.
You know how Babcock had a shelf life with the Leafs?
Yes.
There you go.
Oh.
Check this out. Windows 7 Server 2008 from Microsoft. That has a shelf life too, and it's expiring on January the 14th, 2020.
So companies should be aware of that. CDNtechnologies.com is where you find out more about Barb's company and the kind of things they will do for your company. And one of the things you said last time you were here that I thought was very interesting too is the sort of peace of mind knowing that even if I'm not monitoring what's going on, you guys are, and you'll let us know. You'll let a company know should something untoward be happening.
Yes, because what happens is lots of times people don't know what exactly their assets are, like with respect to hardware or software or how their data flows. So you kind of have to do a health check on your computer systems to see where everything is at. I think we're all at that age where we're doing health checks and taking inventory.
Constantly.
This is my life. These are my numbers. This is where I'm at. How do I keep moving forward in a positive direction? So right now, the biggest thing as I'm visiting customers and receiving calls is Windows 7 expiring. Like this has been, the due date is January the 14th. So what happens is if you're running on a Windows 7 operating system, you're no longer going to get security updates. So you are really opening yourself up to hackers and other types of viruses and malicious crap that's out there on the internet.
So generally it will function, but there will be a lot of flaws within. Is this what you're saying?
Yes, and there'll only be more flaws. They'll accumulate because they're not giving you any updates or drivers as well. So what updates and drivers do, your drivers is what keeps your computer connected to your monitor and keeps everything like to your printer and to your scanner and keeps it all working. So if Microsoft is no longer releasing these patches or these updates, your computer is going to be not only vulnerable, but it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So what happens is people forget when they bought their computer, like Windows operating system for Windows 7, that came out in 2009. It's 2019 going on 20, so that's like a 10-year run that it's had, and Microsoft has been saying, hey, just to let you know that this is coming up to an end, this is coming up to the end. And now they're just saying, you know what, January 14th, like you're cut off. And that's it. Much like XP.
I have a question here. Currently using a 386 and thinking of upgrading to a 486. Phil, can you?
SX or
I'm looking for
SX or DX?
Either. I don't know.
DX,
I'm using a Commodore 64.
That's right.
Oh, is anybody
I've got
here
an
working on
etch-
DOS?
I've got an Etch-a-Sketch that seems to be. When is the?
I chisel into a rock.
Okay. You win.
My graphics card on my eyes.
All right. Sorry about that, Barb. We're
My
tired.
goodness, we're vulnerable to each other.
Oh yeah, it's an emotional hot spot here. So that's good information. The kind of things that CDN Technologies will do for you once they will take over your company's, IT servicing needs. That's just one of the services you provide.
Yeah, we do think these health checks or network discovery and audit or assessment, whatever you want to call it, where we'll come in and we'll have a look at everything. And one of the things that we really check is to make sure you have a good backup. Because lots of times people think that these external hard drives are backups, but they're not. Because thank you, Stan. Thank you,
Stan's
Stan.
greeting another guest at our door.
And the reason why is because they're easily corrupted. They can easily get viruses. And chances are they're not going to be there when you need it, because when your systems fail, you need the programs and you need the operating systems for all of that data to work. 10, 20 years ago, storing pictures, for home use, that's great. Excellent backup. You just need your program that can run pictures, and a lot of them do that. But for business, it's not a backup.
There's a lot of casual, business is one thing, but there's going to be a lot of people with just Windows 7 at home that if they don't hear this, they're going to be oblivious to it, and it's just going to go on.
You're absolutely
And
right.
then all of a sudden they're going to have all these problems and wonder why without knowing really what the deal is.
And it just snowballs from there. So what happens is essentially the word is out there, and it's a whole to upgrade or to not upgrade.
Yeah.
If your computer, if you purchased it before 2017, chances are you might need a new computer. If because we're already working on 4 years old.
No, I
But
just looked at Fred because this computer we use for the show is probably coming up to 3 years old, maybe.
You know what? Computers can usually last 3 to 5 years. Servers can last about 4 to 6 because no one really handles servers as oftenly as they do a computer. Because last week you dumped your coffee.
No, I have dumped coffee on it. What about tipping your server? Do you have a policy at CDN Technologies?
Tipping the server.
By the way,
Yes, tip forward.
I don't know if you guys. I don't know what it's like in the suburbs. Just to take a second here, I don't know if it's like, but here in the city now, when they bring over the machine to pay. The first, and how it'll say pay by a cash or pay by percentage. If you go pay by percentage, the first number one is 18% now. That's the bottom. That's the floor of tipping now. Just so you know that. The new floor is 18%. It goes 18, 25, and then up. But the other day someone handed me that, and I was like, 18? Where's my 15?
Yeah, but you have the option to do your own.
Oh,
right?
yeah, you do.
Yeah, well, that's
just
my
saying.
option.
You know what drives me even more nuts? The ones that make you do the survey about rating their customer service before you actually get to the tipping
Yeah, I don't do
screen.
that.
I just want to tap and
No,
and go.
exactly. Well, I'm at the point now. I'm so impatient. If it's not tap and go, I actually make this noise. I go, ugh. You know what I mean? Because I just want to go boop boop. But if I have to make the effort to put my credit card inside a machine, I go, ugh. Come on.
I don't want to touch. I don't want to touch the
your-
keypad.
Aren't you pleasant?
No, please.
Oh, really?
I can just see you going, 18%, give me that.
Is that 18% on top of the tax too, or is it before tax?
It's on the bill, man.
It's on
No,
top of the tax.
bill.
Yeah, because the machine gives you the total, right?
Yeah, the machine gives
So-
you the
so
total.
it's-
It's
with
not.
tax.
It's not on the total before tax. So I'm going to pay 18% on the tax.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
One amount on the
Look
machine.
at me. My name's Fred. I don't do that.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Fred, I got a
Just
tip
done.
for you.
What's that?
Yeah.
That is, how do you know if your computer is Windows 7 or Windows 10?
I don't
How-
know.
how do
How
you
is
know?
that?
Well, if you go to your start button on the bottom of your screen for your PC, if your Windows icon is a circle, then chances are it's Windows 7. If it's tiles, it's Windows 10. So if you have one of those circles, you might need to upgrade your PC or upgrade your operating system. And if you have tiles, you're going to be okay.
Well, great
Excellent.
information. Thank you, Barb. CDNtechnologies.com. Barb also hosts a very fine podcast produced lovingly with Phil Hong.
I have an excellent guest on today. You know what we're talking about?
No idea.
Are your kids naked online? How to protect your teenagers from their own social media posts.
No tip on that.
Great information, Phil. And
So
the
dangerous.
podcast that Barb and Phil do is called
No Tech Talk. And that's
KNOW. No Tech Talk. Get it, Phil? It's a play on words. All right. Listen, Barb, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Great information. Barb Paluska to everybody. All right. Thank you very much, Barb.
You know, that tipping thing, I was having this conversation with my neighbor the other day. It's same with real estate. This whole 6% thing. The price of homes have just skyrocketed. That's totally out of whack nowadays. I'm sorry, people. It's out of whack. So you sell your house for $1 million, I'm going to give you $60,000
To
No.
list it? No, I know it's ridiculous.
That needs to be adjusted. Just like, you know, restaurant prices go up all the time too, like 18% now. So I'm being, not only are you paying more for stuff, now the tips got to go up another 3%.
Yeah,
When
no,
when a few years ago it was just 10% was like,
it was 10% was the basement, and 15 was when you really thought it was great service. Maybe
Right.
even 18 or 20. But now, where were we when I got handed the bill? And I just said I went to pay, and I'm like 18%. That's the floor now.
not happening.
By the way, our friends at Hamilton Film Studios weighing in just sent me a text weighing on purple lights. This is what people want to talk about. Forget
Gels?
everything else. They say they sell a full line of colorful gels for your film lights and floodlights, including several versions of purple. Love you guys. Happy 30th anniversary, Ken, Zach, and Graham. And let me just say to those guys, you're welcome to come in and visit us on December 19th for our Christmas social. Will you be here on the 19th, Barbara? For our drop-in, our Christmas, what do we call it? Phil, where are you? On
I guess
board?
it's the gift of
the
Christmas
gift,
30?
the 30th anniversary, the 30th gift of Christmas, the Humble and Fred Show. And thanks to our friends at Hamilton Film Studios. So there you go.
Yeah, that's because I'll tell you, and call me cheap, whatever. Because I've got sucked into the 15% thing. I've just got my head around that. But what I do is I look at the bill, I take the tax off, and then I tip 15% on before tax.
On the actual bill.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
I know.
sorry, but that's what I do. That's enough. That is enough.
Just really quickly, just getting text coming in.
Okay.
This is
Text.
my friend Tim Southcott and buddy Russ are both listening. Huge fans of the program. Russ, I don't even think. Well, Tim, I think Tim's heard the show a couple times. I'm not even sure. I think Tim, for the first 4 or 5 years we knew each other, thought I was Derringer.
Right.
But Russ, no, seriously, I think Tim thought I was John. But Russ loves the show, and ever since we got on AM, Russ is always referencing things. So good to have Tim and Russ listening this
What
morning.
are they saying about purple lights?
They have great insight on the purple lights. I'll tell you one thing: if you needed your lights moved, that Tim Southcott, he could do it. He's got the big moving company.
Oh, does
big
he?
machines,
Right.
man work. They both do man work. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Are you going to do this now?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Before we leave, we've got to tell you about the retirement Sherpa. Actually, friends with Tim and Russ is Tim Nibelet, the retirement Sherpa. Phil.
That's very true, and the Retirement Sherpa is here often speaking of subjects in regards to retirement and managing your money well. And the last time he was here, we were talking about independent pension plans, and that's important for business owners and top executives who can put money into that scheme. And you can
Yes.
speak to the Retirement Sherpa about anything regarding your money or your retirement situation. RetirementSherpa.ca. Tim's a portfolio manager, and Raymond James is a member of the Canadian Investors Protection Fund.
We'll do more today at humbleandfredradio.com. Come and listen to it, the podcast that everyone's talking about.
This episode of Humble and Fred Radio is brought to you by FYI Music News, The Retirement Sherpa, Gig Sky, The Chambers Plan, Strain Print, Freedom Construction, Ringside MD, Clear Air Solutions, CDN Technologies, and 5 Hour Energy. We broadcast to the world from the worldwide headquarters of the Humble and Fred Show. More Humble and Fred tomorrow and online at humbleandfredradio.com.
Yeah, Mike, don't bring that over here. I don't want to discuss that. No, you can come over, but don't bring that over, okay? No, okay, I'll tell you.
I can't stay. But
Yeah. Sure she does. But maybe just in case she did, or one of these nincompoops said something. How you doing?
Sorry, who are the nincompoops?
The people online.
Oh, got it.
I mean
wanted
that
to
in a
clarify.
nice way, but I just don't want what we're going to discuss about that thing to be part of this thing.
Got it. Totally understand.
Because I can tell you, the magic of iTex is it's a wonder. It really is. Hi, buddy.
I'm good. Yeah, how's it going?
Hi, buddy.
Good to see everybody and
Yeah, man.
a little podcast extra. I can't really stay, got a jam, but,
Yeah,
but
man.
I did want to get you that little.
I appreciate it. Thanks for
thing.
doing that.
And my pleasure.
Yeah, man.
Told you I'd take care of it.
Well, you're a good boy.
Yeah, and I guess lots of talk this morning about poop.
There was a lot of poo talk,
poo talk.
even for our show. We didn't even get.
I thought Poogate was a good thing. I called it Poogate on Twitch.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I didn't see that because I'm too busy doing the show. Well, Sean does his own show with the Twitch guys.
Well, it sounds like he's doing his own show while your show is going
absolutely. I love the fact that he's not paying attention to this show. He's just texting me Chinese.
And the whole time he's saying the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
Our Father who art in
Yeah.
poop.
So the whole time he's writing love notes to Jesus. Dear Jesus, you're sweet.
Definitely a podcast extra.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Happy early Hanukkah to you.
Yeah, when's that?
And happy early Merry Christmas to all of others. I don't know. I know it's late
either.
this year.
Is it?
It is.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know you were Jewish.
I am not, but
Hey,
H is a part-timer, is he not?
Hey, someone on me on Twitch said, Humble and Fred gift to Christmas 2019. Keep the receipt. Here's the thing. If you want to tip us 20 to 25% on Twitch, you're welcome to. In fact, we should put a button on there, Sean, just for the holidays. Fucking tip 20 for Sean.
You mentioned that 18%. First of all, I'm against that. To your point, it should be on the subtotal as well. Don't feel sorry for that at all.
I don't.
Yeah, you shouldn't ever be. The only thing I was going to add to that was, were you there in a group? Because usually it's a group of 6 or more. It's 18.
No, I wasn't. No, and it was it wasn't the normal machine. It wasn't the Moneris machine. It was that fancy Apple one, the white one. Mm-hmm. The Apple Pay one, or the one that looks like Apple Pay.
Sure,
I'm not even sure.
Square probably.
It's I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
It's sort of a white, sort of fancy, modern looking thing.
Is it not called Clovis?
I'm not sure.
There's a bunch that look like
There's
that.
a bunch that, but
Clitoris,
yeah, it's called Clitoris. I tipped the well that one I would
18%.
I would definitely tip 18.
Slide right into
Slide
that.
into that 18.
6-digit pin.
Yeah, I give all
That got Phil's attention.
Ship pin.
There you go.
Jesus, fuck. That one I will insert my card in.
Swipe it.
Swipe. But, it started because I was shocked. The point I was trying to make is I didn't realize that the bottom entry level now has gone to 18%. And that's why I said, I don't know what it's like in the suburbs, but here in the big ugly city, it's 18 is the, you know how they'll give you 1, 2, 3 as a choice, right?
Yeah,
One is
10, 15,
because
18.
it used to be 10 was a choice. Then it was 15 was the bottom line. How it got to fucking 18 is beyond me.
And the price of stuff has gone up too. So as the price of the product goes up, the tip goes up, obviously, right? So why has this been added on? And I want to ask you.
Well, I will say
I want to ask you a question.
But I will not tip on the tax because it's not fair. That's not the price of the fucking meal.
Tax to earn it, tax to spend it.
Right. And it just seems but the problem with being handed, this is the last thing I'll say about this. The problem with being handed the machine, it puts the customer, and I feel it puts the server in an awkward position. I want them to do this: hand me the machine and go away. I don't want you standing there waiting to see what, because it almost feels like you're waiting to see what I think of your service. I don't like you hovering, right? Mm-hmm. Because then I want to have a chance to go back and look at the bill, see what the actual number was, and then tip on that.
You know, a lot of them now are schooled in that, to step away.
Mm-hmm. They should.
And they should. Here's my question. Another thing drives me fucking crazy, and I'll say fucking crazy. So there's a restaurant, and there's 3 couples there separately. 6 people. Right?
I know where you're going.
So the waitress looks after them. Why? Because 6 people are sitting together. All of a sudden, do the gratuity rules change?
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like, what is that all about? Oh, groups of 10, you've got to pay it. Well, okay, but those 5 separate couples over there, they don't pay it?
Yeah.
and that's 10 people.
Yeah,
Isn't it easier to service one table than a bunch of different ones?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I don't get it.
Well, I don't know about that. I know that, listen, I'm not saying that serving the public isn't hard. It is. But I don't know how that happened, that became the new normal. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
What, groups?
No, the new normal became 18%.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about groups.
But I don't know. I think a large group of people at one table is harder to serve than 6 groups of 2. It is.
Okay, but anyway, so why does the gratuity thing change? Though?
Because it's harder to serve eight people than it is to serve 2.
My thing with it lately, just to kind of segue, why do you now have to have a potential tip on a takeout order?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't do that.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah,
I don't do it.
I don't do it either.
Fuck it.
I don't do it either. But my point is that why do they even have it as an option?
I'm with you. I've said that before. I've said it.
Hope.
I've said they should stop doing that. When they hand you the machine, because I just did that the other day, some takeout food. It shouldn't. I always hit no, because and you know what? It bugs me because now I've got to say no tip. It should just be hand me the machine and configure it for me to pay. Because I'll tell you the place.
What do you mean no? You got to say no tip.
But because it says you have to. There's an option on the keypad.
I know. You know what? You can bypass that. Just hit the green button again. It'll go to the next thing.
Well, on some of them it does.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Now, there's a place over here in the next block. I get pizza there from the odd time. It's great. Little nice takeout pizza place. And what they do is they've configured their machine. When you walk in, they don't ask you for the tip. And I like that. And
I like
know.
it too.
Okay.
No, I like that. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, because I don't want it, because it makes the customer feel weird. And if I'm coming to pick up food at your place, don't fucking make me tip you. For what? For standing there making the food.
Let's segue one more time. What about when you get food delivered and there's a delivery fee?
Yes.
Plus, you're supposed to tip the driver.
Well, then don't check for the delivery fee. And if it's there, don't tip the driver. Isn't that what he's getting?
I don't know. Is it? That's never been explained.
I like to yell.
I know. Listen. There's a Little Caesars near us, and if I go over there and I get the pizza, and it's like $10 for a medium, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! The last time we ordered pizza, I couldn't a couple of medium. It was like $40 or something delivered. It was crazy.
Bread and cheese, $40.
That's not happening again, huh?
Is it bread and cheese? $40.
I'll tell you, this place, give them a little plug. It's called Rocco's. They opened up about a year ago. It's just right on the next block. It's really good. And what I'll do is I get a slice of pizza, and they do a small caprese salad. The whole thing, I don't know, it's $12 or something. It's pretty good. But they never asked me to throw a tip on there. Because I literally have to leave here, walk there, go bring it. I mean, I'm doing all the fucking work other than making it.
Well, and if they want a tip, I know what I do. I put the tip of my banger on there. Hey, here's my tip.
Let's just all yell tip cock. Okay, good. Great. That's where we're at. Mike?
Here's a tip of my cock.
But it's funny when you go to a lot. Now, I don't know why. I don't know why this.
You want a tip? Here.
Just
Look
a
at
tip.
this Manischewitz.
But just a tip, though.
Yeah.
But when you
Yes.
go to a Chinese restaurant, they often give you 10% discount for picking it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happened there? It was like, the Chinese food people, they must give discounts. But no one else gives discounts if you go in and buy
I've never noticed
takeout.
that.
We want you
Yeah.
to come in the door. That's the reason why. We don't.
Well, there's a billion
you know.
Chinese people. You guys get lonely?
Wow.
How does that work?
Wow. Wow.
You said you want to come visit. You want people to come visit.
All right. Well, listen. Let's leave it there. We've got to get going. Tomorrow we'll talk about why Phil thinks we stink.
Yeah.
Sean wants the Lord Prayer. He wants us to actually start the show with the Lord's Prayer. Somebody just shit themselves again.
What?
Yes.
That's not me.
Well,
That's
who is it?
I don't know.
Stand
Maybe
for
it's
the
the
end.
dog.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it could be.
I
It's
know
not
it's
me.
you.
I
Poor
would tell
Stan.
you. Like
Poor Stan just
in the
sitting there.
podcast extra, I would tell you.
Oh, really?
Okay, come smell my ass.
I will. Is it Phil? Is it Stan?
I will.
Get the Twitch feed back on.
Is it Stan? The Twitch feed is still on. Is it Stan?
Yeah, he's a bit foul proximity.
All right, because it's either Stan or Fred. No fucking way.
Perfect dog for the show.
Me Chinese said, I didn't want to read this question when Barb was here, but it's pretty funny.
What is it?
He said, a question for Barb. My computer cache is filled up with porn and froze when I took it in. Apparently, the warranty voided due to moisture damage.
She would have laughed at
He said, next time, how can I protect the keyboard from these pop-ups?
No way.
Phil?
No way.
It's cock.
Ooh.
No way. That's not legit. No way.
No way, what?
That's an legit question.
No,
it's funny as hell.
It's not a legit question.
Oh,
They're called jokes,
I
Mike.
think we.
I love it.
Yeah, we had established.
Hey, you
it
never
wasn't
know.
real.
You never know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. Listen, Muzzy, you're a good man. Thanks very much. Yeah, I guess that's it. Did we miss? We missed a few things. I want to mention, and I have wanted to mention for a week now, that our friend Larry Fatorik. Did we talk about that? That Larry left 610. Did we ever mention that on the show?
On the show, I'm not sure, Howard.
Because I've reached out to him to see if he'll come in here and visit with us. But if you know the guy, he's a friend of ours, and he's a guy that was a broadcaster in Toronto for a lot of years. Worked on. Did you ever work with him?
My very first job as news and sportscaster at CHIC 790 AM. He was the morning man, and I was the news and sports guy.
So you worked with him.
Yeah.
When I left here, when I left CFNY, The Edge, in 1991 to go work at CKFM, Larry worked on the morning show with me there. And so did Carla Collins. And, no, not Carla, Maureen Holloway. And Larry was always just one of the funniest people in the room, just a great guy. And then he went off to do this talk show. And really one of the unique voices in Canadian broadcasting. And we're sad for him because he was really, really good at it. And not a lot of guys were doing the kind of show he was. It wasn't that kind of classic, talk show, yelling and like this show. It wasn't this.
It wasn't. Here's the subject matter. Get outraged and call.
Right. Right.
No, he didn't take calls, really, I don't think.
Yeah, very few. And just a really different cat. And I know, I just thought I'd mention it. It's kind of a bummer. And we're hoping to get Larry. If you know the guy, he's been around Toronto broadcasting, Hamilton, St. Catharines for a long time. And we're trying to get him in here. That's what we're going to try and do. Okay, everybody? That's all I have to say about Larry Fatorik. Anything else over here? Sean, we're going to get to you tomorrow. Lots of stuff tomorrow. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you mad at me because I don't like Jesus?
I'm mad at the microphone.
Yeah. It's kind of a drag.
Muzzy, your oldest
Frederick?
son is Cole.
Yes, sir.
How old is he?
7.
Grade 2.
Grade 2.
Do they say the Lord's Prayer at school?
Yes, because he goes to a Catholic school.
Oh, does he? Oh.
All right. Yeah. Love you,
And,
Jesus.
That's creepy.
I think they do the anthem every day as well.
Well, the
Pretty
anthem
sure.
they do.
Yeah, they do.
At public schools. And so they should.
So they should.
Oh, you're funny.
Well,
Catholic school, that's creepy. It is creepy.
The Lord is our shepherd, I shall not want. Oh, God.
Anyway.
In the valley of shadow of death.
I'll tell you who I'm going to tip 18%. Jesus, when he comes back. Say,
Yeah.
hey, Jesus, fucking here's a full 18. And including the tax.
That money will never leave your wallet.
Okay, listen, man, we got to go. Thanks, everybody. You're nice people.